this is Gotatua wetland, one of the biggest wetland catchers in Colombo wetland complex. So with the promoting of wise use concept of wetlands, which is implementing by the government to manage the urban wetlands in Sri Lanka. Now this wetland is planned to convert this wetland into a wetland park. Wetland is actually in between a terrestrial ecosystem and a deep water ecosystem. So the water is the main component of a wetland, but this water can be in different forms. Since wetlands have a very shallow water body, so there are a lot of biogeochemical cycles are happening. So that is the main reason why wetlands having high productivity compared to all the other ecosystems. It acts as a sponge in the nature, which means that wetlands can absorb the rainwater, avoid the flooding in the surrounding area. And also wetlands are a very good carbon sinks. So it says certain wetlands, actually they can absorb 2 times like carbon sequestration, they do 2 times like tropical rainforest. Especially in the cities, it helps to cool the city and make a kind of a very convenient environment for all the living beings. And also wetland provides a wide range of habitats for like wildlife, especially because it has water as well as the terrestrial or the land component as well. So Gotatua wetland has a very diverse habitats, so that's why it records a rich biodiversity here, including the fishing cats in Colombo. So this kind of like very shady habitat and very cool habitats are like favorable places for like fishing cats.
So fishing cat is a small wild cat that we have living in South and Southeast Asia. They look like small leopards because they've got spots, but their coats more greyish. They love water, and that's why we call them wetland specialists. And as their name suggests, they also are very good at catching fish. Size-wise, they're about the size of, if you live in Colombo or in Sri Lanka, the size of a street dog. So they are about twice or thrice the size of a domestic cat, roughly. A flagship species is basically a species that we use as a symbol, like an iconic symbol. So we use fishing cats as that symbol for wetland conservation because they are a wetland specific species. We are able to use them as that iconic species and say, look, if you lose your wetlands, you're going to lose this endangered species as well. Whereas if we go and tell somebody, if you destroy the wetlands, you're also not going to have your crocodiles or your spiders or your snakes. No one's going to really want a wetland because lots of people are scared of these animals. Whereas if you say, look, we've got this cat that's about the size of a dog, it looks like a leopard, it quacks like a duck, and it swims like a fish. That's something that's going to make people like a little curious. It's cute, it's funny, it sounds silly. They're going to want to protect that species and that habitat. If people aren't interested in the species, protecting them is going to be really difficult. In terms of like an ecological perspective, you've got habitat, you've got pollution.
So we can see that Colombo wetlands are located in highly urbanized areas. So a lot of people are living very close proximity to the wetland. But the thing is, like, a lot of people don't know, even they daily see that 24 hours they see the wetlands, back in their backyard or in their, close to their houses, but they don't know the values of these wetlands that it gives.
I'm living since 14 years here in this area, in Colombo. Living here in the Telangama wetland area. It's an environmentally protected area by the Central Environment Authority, and it's part of the Ramsar wetland of Colombo. Let's say 8 years I was driving my kids to school and only looking why is all so dirty. It took me 8 years to understand that our authorities have limitations. We who live here, who have the privilege living in such a beautiful environment, we also have some duties. And so I realized if it is to be, it's up to me. And 6 years ago, we created the Telangama Wetland Watch. And we are supporting the authorities in keeping this area clean. So we have daily cleaning activities. We are going out on the lake. We are removing the water hyacinths. We are trying to bridge between different stakeholder groups. And yeah, that's what we do.
The culture is normally to enjoy the nature and not try to give back. There was a plan very recently to run a highway through the wetland, right? And they had the opportunity of either flattening a few houses or running the highway through the wetland. And they chose to run the highway through the wetland rather than lose voters. Development has to happen, but obviously not at the cost of environment.
Because of not having that knowledge, people do a lot of negative things to wetlands, like filling, illegal filling, encroachments, and like habitat destruction and all. And the conflicts of interest between the institutes also another challenge we are facing, because most of the Colombo wetlands, the ownership is under different institutes where they have different mandates. So there are a lot of challenges we are facing, like bringing everybody to one table. And also there are other challenges like biological challenges, spread of invasive species. Again, like the human intervention is there to have that kind of threats. In cities, the lands have like high demand, so everybody wants to fill up every inch and use for, like, development pressure is very high. Managing urban wetlands are not an easy task, where that all stakeholders' contribution is equally important.